2.7 is bringing up a lot of cool ass stuff, and it's something that is evoking a lot of constipation for me and many others, I think. Sorry, contemplation. But here's something I think we should discuss. Phrolova. I think she's important to discuss in the wake of the 2.7 stream for a couple of reasons. First off, it looks like she may be back from vacation and that's causing chatter amongst the living. Secondly, people feel some way about it and I want to share my thoughts on it. But let's look at her generally coming back.
You're back already?
She's here potentially, it's speculation in what way, and I want to remind people that she was never dead in the first place and she can't die as far as we know. It's told to us in her quest and it can also be found in her resonator details too. Her appearance comes as a huge surprise to quite a few people, which leads into the chatter of others. Some express dismay as a whole, while others are happy to see our abandoned, bandaged walking red flag. One of the things I think you may see from others as a reaction is, what the hell was 2.5 for then if she was just gonna come back 2 patches later? Doesn't her return make that patch essentially null? To that I have my thoughts. Now, you're not wrong in feeling that way because there's a small grain of truth in it. One of the biggest emotional weights that was thrown our way was obviously her death at the end of the quest. The entire quest was hinting and foreshadowing its arrival, and even when it finally hit us, well, in Phrolova's case it impaled her, that black screen, the observation of Phrolova hugging Triss again, and eventual disappearance into the now fully merged beyond was such a heart-tugging experience, it stayed with a lot of people. So seeing her again makes all of that build-up feel as if it was all for naught. Except that that idea isn't entirely true. The reason I say this is because Phrolova's quest did more than just that. It's not about Phrolova's death in of itself as a whole. It gave us more than that, and her quest was about more than her dying. It gave us important insight on who Phrolova is and what drives her. It gave us her reason as to why she's even with the Fractsidus. It gave important opposition to Rover, having us see them differently, as we finally ran into someone who was affected by their decisions, which I've been asking for and questioning since the early patches of this game. Learn more about their past. That's of course assuming that there is reincarnation stuff, since that also is kind of speculatory too. I make this educated wish because of how 1.0's story alludes to a past where Rover maybe had ties to the Fractsidus as one of the Black Lambs according to SCARRRR. However, that does sort of present a problem, since if that were to be the case, why is it that everyone loves us and no one remembers that we aligned or helped these groups of terrorists? Additionally, if Rover is millions of years old, there has to be instances where they have made bad decisions, harmed others unintentionally as a result, or have had regrets in how they shaped, made, or led a civilization. 2.5's story also delved a bit into how the Fractsidus was setting things up from Jinzhou with SCARRRR to Rinascida's Carnival to Cristoforo and Fleur-de-Lis, outlining that all of these things have been deliberate. The 2.5 quest isn't suddenly made pointless with Phrolova potentially coming back into the scene, because her return also doesn't wipe away what I laid out. The only part it partially dampens is her final moment, which personally isn't meant to highlight her dying, but the tragic scenario of how things played out between Phrolova and Rover. This is also coming from someone who personally was hoping she'd be saved for later. Overall, I didn't care if she did or didn't come back, but I leaned slightly more towards the opinion that she should have stayed in the green room to allow us to ruminate over her departure for a little while longer. This obviously isn't as bad as Shorekeeper's death, and I think Phrolova was an improvement on that concept. But her drop could have been a huge surprise with a bigger twist if they ended up using her as a card later on. Again, we're not entirely sure for the context of her return, if she's even truly here. But with the 2.7 trailer, people seem to be making their hard takes sooner rather than later. Again, I think there's some validity in the sentiment of asking what the point of 2.5 was if she comes back, but I think it's done with a narrow look at what 2.5 offered and what it was about. This is where I'd want to know if I have a point on this or if you can offer more insight to me. How are you feeling about Phrolova potentially making her return? Whatever side you're on though, I know for certain I can say this. We're all happy to be seeing SCARRRR come back. Let's fucking go! As always, thank you for letting me take your time, like and sub, and be safe out there.